Welcome to Tiny Fest. This is our community stage, sponsored by Blue Eddy. We have our lovely Blue Eddy.
No. Wait.
Power station here, powering our AV equipment today. We're gonna have a couple of our Nomad Village folks joining us here in just a minute. We'll be speaking about taking the leap into tiny living. Everybody will kind of introduce themselves, talk about their story a little bit, and probably take some questions from you guys if you have any. We'll get started here in just a minute. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Good to see you. Gotta come around this way. There's so many over this way.
Stage MC.
We're going to turn
by
this way
Blue
to
Eddy,
accommodate
our
them on
local
this
power
side.
station providers. Check out their situation. I think they're inside this year, actually. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to just introduce myself, and then the rest of the panel will introduce themselves. Today's talk is just about taking the leap into tiny living. After everybody kind of gives you their story and what made them take the leap. You can ask questions if you have them, and it's real informal. Just speak up, and we'll keep rolling. So my name's Samantha. I have been in tiny living since 2017. I did a full-time ProMaster for about 2 years. Sold it. I'm building a tiny house currently. I live in Oregon, so it's nice and big and beautiful and trees and things. And the van life was fantastic for a time, but I needed a stationary. I'm between Portland and Longview, right on the Columbia.
Are you in a park?
No, I live on property. Yep, I have 5 acres. So the van life was great. I loved traveling, but we decided that, needed a home base to kind of settle out of, but still wanted to keep things minimal. And the fewer possessions, the better, the easier it is to do all the things, right? So minimalism was kind of my driver for me personally. And I've done a couple different types of rigs. I sort of am still a turtle in my minivan. I kind of have everything with me that I need all the time. Once you live that kind of life, I think that you stick to it quite a bit into those habits and things. So I'm going to go ahead and let the rest of the panel introduce themselves, and we'll get going.
So my name's Colt, and I've been living and traveling full-time in a van. Well, I moved into the van in October, but I started the traveling and actually living in the beginning of January due to the holidays. One of the big drivers for me to move into a van and travel was rent was getting high, the cost of living and everything was getting high, and I've always wanted to travel, and I was tired of saying, okay, I'll do it one day, I'll get on the road and I'll travel, and I was tired of saying, I'll just do it one day. And I was like, you know what, my friend, he showed me this the Vanlife, and I was like, I didn't know people lived in their vans and traveled like this, and they worked remotely, or they did summer work and saved up and then traveled like that. And I was like, I can do that. This is reality. I can actually do what I want to do. I can actually live my dream and see everything I want to see. And it was a good thing too, because it helped me realize all the stuff in my life that I don't need, and all the possessions and all the material stuff that I was just like, okay, I don't need this, I can get rid of it and live comfortably in a van and just have the stuff that I need instead of the stuff I want or the stuff I like to have around. But I see myself doing this for the foreseeable future.
My name's Charlie, and I've been traveling for, probably 15 years. And I don't always travel full time. Like a lot of people, after you've done it for a while, you kind of want to sit in one place for a while. So I also have a tiny home over in Arizona. I have a fifth wheel here in San Diego, and my Sprinter van's sitting over there. So I have some options still, but I have those options for life, meaning that no matter what happens to my life, I can downsize if I need to whatever. The reason I got into this is I love to travel. I've been traveling all my life, and I've had just about everything you can think of, you guys. So if you have a question about that motorhome or one of the big trailers or whatever, I can pretty much tell you the pros and cons to all of them. My favorite, everybody says, where do you live? I said, wherever that Sprinter van is. because that's my favorite. It is easier to park, easier to deal with, than I have a 36-foot fifth wheel. And, I travel alone. I'm a senior single person. So I can relate to any of you that are seniors that are thinking this lifestyle might be something you'd like to jump into. I would say, figure out where you're comfortable. What is your comfort level? Do you need all the stuff? Then you need to probably get something pretty big and drag it around with you. If you can't handle that, then you're going to have to start looking at things that are smaller, that are more doable for you. My favorite is a Sprinter van. If I had my whole life go up in flames tomorrow, I would have no qualms about living in my Sprinter. And yet I have, like I said, a tiny home, and I have a fifth wheel too. I'm lucky that I could do that, and I planned ahead for a long time to get to this point. How many people out here are retired? Anybody out here retired? Okay, so there's some retired people. There's some people coming into this that were looking at it to retire that way, possibly. And the big thing is to learn to set yourself up. Set yourself up and start working toward that now. You can do small things. Let's say all of you are looking into this and you're thinking, well, I'd like to try a van. What can I do now to get me to the van? Start with some of the things that are in the interior, some of the smaller things. The 3 things you have to have living anywhere are, what are they? A bed, a toilet, a place to cook. So you literally can do like me. When I bought my Sprinter, I had to be back east to close escrow on a house. I threw a bed in it, put the porta potty in it, and had a camp stove, and I took off. The build began then. I think I'm the only woman builder here, the only one that's to build a van by themselves. So you can always come over and look at it. But like I said, you have to think about what, and that's what this panel is about, what's going to work for me. Everybody has their comfort zone. If you can go minimal, that's going to really serve you the best. Because even in a big vehicle, the less you're taking around with you, the less you have to deal with. The whole idea is to be free, right? And to have freedom. So, if you've got, how many, well, ask these two. How many pairs of pants do you have in your vehicle?
I don't wear pants, actually.
Okay.
I live in San Diego. I
Okay.
wear shorts. I have 1 pair of pants. I have a couple pairs of shorts, and I live in my van in the winter usually and go skiing, so I have my snow pants, and I end up wearing those every day because I'm skiing every day around.
Right.
So.
And how about you?
So I have 3 pairs of jeans, 2 pairs of shorts,
Okay.
because I'm from Texas
You see,
and that's all
you
we wear.
see where we're going with this, you guys? And if there's couples here, you're doubling that. So you're doubling the amount of room, okay?
I travel with my girlfriend. And
Yeah.
I have all my clothes condensed into a backpack, and she's got her clothes in a little hanging bag on the side.
And you have a van?
I travel with my girlfriend in her van.
Okay,
She
okay.
has a 2001 Astro van.
Okay. All right, so they're in an Astro van. What are you in?
I'm actually in a school bus.
Yeah.
Hi. My name's Racy K. Garnett. I am a business owner of Off-Grid Custom Rigs. My tiny living journey started in 2018. I graduated high school early and moved into a van to go up to Mammoth Lakes, California. I had a Ford Econoline, little guy, very stealth van with just a bed and a propane heater and a carbon monoxide detector, because that's what you need. And I actually became a lifty or a lift operator up at Mammoth, and I just worked all day and skied all day. But the reason I did that is so I could save up money to move into my backpack. I did the Pacific Crest Trail in 2019, and I lived out of my backpack for 6 months, and I did that, and I planned on doing that for 4 years, because I grew up in a house where we lived paycheck to paycheck. We were always struggling to pay rent. Our water got turned off occasionally, and I just knew that there was an easier way to go about life, and I just wanted to figure out, what are my basic necessities? Do I really need all of these things and need to feel that stress over our head of not having a roof or whatever it is? So I did the PCT and moved back into my Ford Econoline. It was a mansion then. I didn't have to put my tent up every night. Are you kidding me? It was kind of amazing. And so van life just showed me a way where I can have and live this luxurious life without having to spend so much money. And I actually get to save money when I'm living in the van because I'm working and then sleeping in the van, and I'm not paying rent. My expenses are gas, propane, laundry, and maybe a gym membership. But besides that, it gets pretty small. And food, obviously. But yeah, so hopefully today we can kind of answer you guys' questions. But I totally agree with what she was saying. My biggest thing that I like to preach to people is if you're trying to do tiny living, to just get out there, go rent a van from one of those companies for a week or a weekend and figure out what you do and don't want. Because the biggest mistake you can make is buying a Sprinter van that's 200 grand and figuring out you don't even like living that lifestyle. So I recommend just going and renting a van, being like, oh, I do want a bathroom, or I don't need this big of a bed, it's taking up too much space. Just all these little things, a heater, things that you'd figure out in there versus spending the money and not liking it. So yeah, dry camp
versus going to parks and stuff.
Yeah, so usually just on BLM land, if you can find. We have so much BLM land in the States. You can. It's Bureau of Land Management land. So it's government owned land. You can technically, if you just go drive out, you can stay in that spot for 14 days without getting bothered. Obviously, leave no trace. Don't be trashing the place. But yeah, you can just dry camp as long as you have enough water and food. You can stay there as long as you want.
What you're going to find out is no matter what kind of vehicle, while you're on that subject, no matter what kind of vehicle you get, your only limit is going to be water and food. That's going to be it. That's going to be your biggest limit, how much water you can carry with you. If you're doing a Sprinter van, you're lucky if you got 25, 30 gallons. I carry extra 7, about 15, besides what's in my tank. And that's the biggest limit, right? Yeah. Right? Biggest limit is water.
Water. Well, we don't have a sink, so we keep our drinking water in. We keep 2 gallons, 2 to 3, sometimes 4 gallons of water at a time, and we have sanitizing hand wipes that we get from her dad because he works in the medical field. So we have sanitizing hand wipes we use to clean our hands. We got a spray bottle that we fill with soap and water to spray our dishes and wipe our dishes and keep our dishes clean. That way we keep the space that we're taking up in the van as minimal as possible, so we can still have the bed up into the couch mode and sit and be comfortable and watch our little TV that's installed on the roof, or just have extra space for food and the cat to move around and just be comfortable and not be feeling like you're cramped in, because it is a big thing to minimize possessions down to necessities instead of wants.
Just a FYI, I travel with 3 dogs. Go ahead.
Do you have any resources to determine where, especially in the coastal cities and towns, where you won't get harassed or chased off?
It's gotten really hard. It used to be, I could take my van, I could go down to Shelter Island and park down there all weekend or whatever. And now what they've done is, if you notice, if you drive around town, you'll see signs that say anything over, I think it's 7 feet or 9 feet. Can't even park there anymore.
Well, there's apps too. There's
apps too.
iOverlander.
Yeah, there's iOverlander apps. The big thing is it's technically illegal to park on the streets and live in a car. It's supposed to be illegal, but because of what's happening with the economy, they're having to take another look at this and realize that there's a lot of people that are in a situation they don't have a choice. And that's when they opened up all these, there's 3 big parking lots that are full, and you can never get in them. So realistically, to answer to the short part of that question, yeah, because if you can't get in one of those lots, they're not supposed to be ticketing you, because they don't have enough room for the people that are living on the street. I personally don't. I travel a lot, so I'm on BLM, national forests, national parks almost all the time. So it depends on where you want to be. If you're going to live in the street, then there is a learning curve to it. Absolutely a learning curve.
In San Diego, if you get a ticket on your vehicle, it's most likely going to be for like oversized vehicle can't stay in this area, or it's no habitat or habitation overnight. Oversized in San Diego it has to be 21 feet long, or like within 21 feet long and over 9 feet tall. So I have fought those tickets before and won it, but one of the expenses that kind of come with van life is an occasional ticket on your van saying no overnight sleeping. But like she said, they have gone very lenient on the RV camping ever since there was a lawsuit a couple years ago that someone who actually lives in their van was a retired lawyer and was like, this isn't right, we shouldn't be getting tickets for finding a different way of living. And so he actually won his case, and they have been a lot more lenient on the tickets ever since then. But yeah, it's just kind of one of those expenses you're gonna have to put in there is an occasional ticket, maybe 1 or 2 a year. It's $100.
I think
kind of in
the
the
big
range.
question a lot of times is, how do you find those places? Where do you go to park, right? Is that one of the big, see, everybody's nodding. So how do you find a place? Well, first of all, if you're going to park in front of a $4 or $5 million house, they're probably not going to let you stay there, okay? Oh, sorry. If you're going to be parking in a neighborhood with $4 or $5 million house, they're going to complain. And they got enough clout to get you out of there, okay? So there's options. Options would be finding, usually it's, if I'm looking, let's talk about, you want to talk about where we find our places to stay?
So we found one recently. That we were in Ocean Beach. And the Ocean Beach, there's an area that's specifically like they recently took down the no overnight staying for van lifers, but we knew it would be full because it was late at night. So on iOverlander, we found another street that they let people park at night, even though there's a sign that says no parking 2 to 5. They let everybody stay there because they know, like she said, van life is starting to pick up and people are starting to realize there's an alternate way of living, so they don't bother you as much. But also there's Facebook groups. If you have Facebook, you can find on there where they'll be like, oh, I stayed here and didn't have trouble, or I stayed here and I got a ticket, or somebody put something on my windshield, or I got bothered, and then they'll be like, this is a safe area, this isn't a safe area. And then you get this info from other van lifers. Same thing on iOverlander, and I forget, there's a bunch of apps just like it, and it's other van lifers posting on there telling you it's safe here or it's okay to stay here.
How many people here are thinking about staying in town, or how many are going to travel? How many are thinking, I'd like to travel?
I want to do both.
You want to do both?
Yeah.
And how many people here are thinking maybe in town? So if you're thinking in town versus the person that's out in the wilderness, it's a whole different animal, okay? Because you're going to be searching in town to make sure you don't get the knock on the door, which is no fun at 2 o'clock in the morning. You got to get up and move everything. Do you want to talk about just town for a few minutes and then talk about other options? You want to do it that way, you guys?
We could talk about a little bit more about the parking situation, then answer any other questions you guys have.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Quick 3 questions, I'll make them brief. First one, preferred term, van life or nomad, what?
Either or, like we are nomads.
Yeah.
But what we do is van life. Like we live the van life.
Yeah. I live in OB myself, and I've noticed the way you address makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Second thing, you mentioned BLM. Now, I've looked at 1,000 BLM maps, and I go out there, even with my GPS, and I swear, because the color codes on the maps, the ground ain't that color, you can't find it. In your experience, what is the best county and the best state for BLM?
Ooh, boy, you guys, that's hard because I travel all over and I've never had any problems.
What's your favorite?
My favorite place. Wow. Can we do top 3?
Yeah.
Because it'd be really hard.
Yeah.
I love up on the Madison River. I fly fish, so I go up to Montana and Idaho a lot. Any place up in there that you can get along a river. Oh, okay. Oregon, I love Oregon. There's so many beautiful places. The state park campgrounds, the national forest campgrounds are reasonable. That's another clue for those of you that are over 65. Make sure that you get the senior pass, okay? That is half off for campgrounds. So it's important that you get that as soon as you turn, well, I mean, it might
And
be
if you're a
62.
veteran.
And if you're a veteran.
You get the
Yeah.
America Beautiful Pass for free.
Yeah, and the same with disabled. So those 3 things you can get it cheaper. So if you're, and it may be 62. Your pass is 60? Okay. Yeah, so see, I haven't done it in a long, I'm quite a bit older than that, so.
National for seniors.
Yeah. So what was the,
The last question, again going back to BLM, I know California has a plethora of BLM. I mean, we invented the term snowbird. Out in Yuma. Now, the problem I've had with BLM is you go to the BLM office and you try to get the straight information about what can I do on this piece of land, and there is just so many things. So, like when you're staying your 14 days, you're just staying in one spot, you're not really doing anything other than finding a place to stay. What is the best source of information other than the BLM office? Where do you post that information?
I actually use the BLM National Forest site.
Yeah.
I can't give it to you because I didn't bring my
Yeah,
phone.
I-
Sorry. You can always stop by and I'll show you on my phone which one it
Yeah.
is. But I use that almost exclusively for
I just
BLM.
look
Which
for
one do
wherever
you use?
everybody
I
else
use-
is staying.
One website that I use is freecampsites.net, and that's my favorite because it's other people who are posting that have also camped there. So they'll be like, "Oh, this is a flat campground. There's a creek running by." I found my favorite spots on there, but I think that's the best one because it's telling you like, "Oh, these dirt roads are really rough. Probably if you don't feel comfortable off-roading, then don't go down that." Or it's nice and paved,
It's
so you
nice
can
to
find a
know
nice
where
spot.
you go.
Exactly. But my favorite spot for camping is up in near Mammoth Lakes, California. Right off the 395, there's some BLM land, and it's just wide open for miles. There's so much flat camping within the trees, and if you actually keep going down the dirt road, there's a famous climbing spot in the back. So we'll always take our bikes down to go climbing, and then keep our bus parked by the creek on that road. So
Right.
lots of fun little spots.
I'm wondering about, so, I'm sorry I came in late.
You're-
Are the 3 of you in vans?
I'm in a school bus, she's in a Sprinter, and he's in a van
I'm
as
in
well.
an Astro van
So you're getting the view right
with
here of all of
2
us.
people in an Astro van.
Yeah.
So
my question is, I actually have a travel trailer.
Uh-huh.
okay.
I'm starting to realize it's a pain in the ass. I mean, I love it, but that's why I'm here, is to kind of consider transitioning to a van,
Right.
but not like a 200,000.
No, and that's the thing. How many of it? I'm not even going to ask how many can afford it. How many cannot afford it?
Right, right.
You know, I couldn't afford something like that.
I couldn't.
So understanding that everything you're saying is related to a van or a bus
Yes,
or
yes,
something.
yes.
Do you hear much about people doing this with a travel trailer? I mean,
I
costs are gonna
see
be
them all. I
different.
see them all the time. But you know, you run into a lot of things. I'm one of the few that has had everything you can think of. Okay, right down to small travel trailers. I have a 36-foot fifth wheel. I have a 19-foot scamp trailer, and I take the van. And the reason is because there's a lot of places I cannot get in with that trailer for different reasons. Any of them, even the smaller ones. And then you get into, you've got to maneuver around, you got to disconnect, I just got tired of it. I got tired of it. And I had a real nice Sprinter motorhome that was beautiful, you guys. It was paid for, everything, it was a great van. But the design of it was so rotten. I hated it. After 2.5 years, I said, I don't even like this thing. Why do I still have it? So I got rid of it. And that's when I built this van. And since then built several others.
she was saying and you were saying about people not being able to like afford it, and all, like you'll find the ones that are like, oh, this van is fully built and it's $40,000, $50,000. But if you look on Marketplace, like Facebook Marketplace, you'll find some that are fully built out, that run, and are ready for you to start living in for $35,000 to like $6,000, $3,500 to like $6,000. Pretty cheap to be able to start, just to get the start in the van life too. If you decide you wanted to do the nomad life and take the leap, is if you're not willing or not able to drop thousands and thousands of dollars on a van or a Sprinter or a bus, there's some that people have already pre-built, they lived in, they traveled in, and they're like, okay, I'm done with it, let me sell it and let somebody else take it on. Like, we found ours for $3,500. When the first van I lived in, we found it online for $3,500, and it was fully built out. Had the bed, had power, had a TV in it, and then we just added the other stuff we needed, like internet if we wanted to upgrade the power, and then solar panels. We bought the solar online off Marketplace for $350, and it was two 400-watt solar panels. We upgraded to a 300 amp hour battery for another $350, and we were pretty good, and we never ran out of power unless it was super cloudy and there was no sun.
I have a way to tell people whether or not they can live in a van. What I tell them is go in your hallway. You see where I'm going with this, right?
Stay there.
And live in it for a week. Right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. See, we're all
pretty
not-
accurate.
It's pretty accurate, you guys. Go ahead and measure out where you would have a little kitchen and all this stuff in your hallway. And of course, your hallway is probably, anybody know how big a hallway is? 6 feet, 8 feet, something like that. 8 feet, maybe? Is it 8 feet across? Okay, that's about as big as you're going to get a van. That's the size of a van inside. In fact, that's a little bigger. So that'll give you an idea whether that you can do this without spending a lot of money. Take some cardboard boxes and build stuff in your hallway. Seriously. And I think that's one of the easiest ways. If you're claustrophobic, it might drive you nuts, you know. And it can be a lot of money, especially if you're going to try to buy something higher end and stuff. You can get into, you know, that Sprinter van I had, and I hated it. I just told you I hated the thing. It was horrible design, and it was terrible in the wind. Where in my van,